everyone, I'm Yannick. On this week's show, we're taking a look back at some of the city's most important stories from 2019, along with some of our cultural favorites. We begin with one of the biggest stories of the year, the immigration crisis south of the U.S. border. And to show his support for immigrants, Councilmember Gil Cedillo and local nonprofits visited Tijuana to hand out supplies to refugees who were enduring unbearable living conditions waiting to enter the U.S.
Decided to honor Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King Day of Service by going down to the city of Tijuana. We are going to take humanitarian aid to refugees who are legally applying to come to our country and applying for asylum. We believe that the crisis at the border is not one of security, but one of humanity. We're taking blankets and toiletries, and hopefully we can have some impact today on the quality of their existence.
Martin Luther King, to me, is a very important person. I respect my father, number one, and Martin Luther King runs high number two. He's that important because of what he sacrificed himself, not for himself, but for the betterment of the African American people and the world.
We're here from LA trying to, bring some support to the members of the caravan. As you probably know, there are thousands of them that have come, arrived to Tijuana, and with the hope of crossing the border and looking for political asylum. Now they are facing a reality, and the reality is that that hope, that opportunity doesn't exist, and it's not that easy as they probably at one time believed. And this is the result. Some of them are going to have to wait for months before they're able to see a judge. We're here to help. We brought some blankets, we brought hygiene products, we bought some food.
Today on MLK Day of Service, we actually came to Tijuana to visit a few shelters for the immigrant caravans. All these individuals who have been here for 4 months, stuck in Tijuana with no outlet over to the United States. So we brought humanitarian aid today in hopes to help out, make a dent in the need that we saw out here today. We saw children, we saw families, we saw 3 different shelters, we visited 1 clinic, and all I can say is that the need is tremendous.
It's important for Angelinos to get involved because Los Angeles is the city to lead our country in showing what it means to be open and welcoming immigrants. And we know that a large percentage of these people from the caravan will end up in our neighborhood. And so this is our way of us to do humanitarian work across borders.
I was very moved by today. 2 things. I'm moved by the stories, and then I'm moved by the life that exists in these young kids, the energy, the enthusiasm, the excitement. Children are children, and even in the most difficult circumstances, they can be happy with a new toothbrush, a new bar of soap, a blanket. I'm also inspired to go back and make sure that Washington does its job, that we respect the law. We are part of the world community, and migrants and refugees have rights, and we should respect them.
It's not every day that the contributions of the immigrant communities are recognized. That's why the city of LA paid a special tribute to a group of people who helped build LA into the city it is today.
Braceros were looked down upon. And then when they got here in the United States, there was a lot of racism. 95% of the people who work in California in agriculture are actually Mexican descent. So for me, the braceros, now that the stigma has gone away, I think it's a good thing.
I feel happy that they're being recognized for all their hard work.
And especially in these times when from this administration, so many attacks, so many lies, so many criticisms of men and women today who work so hard for this economy, for this nation. It's especially important.
I couldn't be more proud to join you today in commemorating the service of so many immigrant communities. It was the immigrants of Mexico that helped build this city, that helped build this state, and helped build this United States of America.
¿Y dónde están los vaceros?
Turning now to women who are making their mark in a male-dominated field. One of the key people on the 6th Street Viaduct replacement project is the program manager from the city's Bureau of Engineering. Anita Bennett introduces us to a woman who is leading by example.
As construction crews work to bring the iconic 6th Street Viaduct back to life, Julie Allen works to make sure the project stays true to the design plan.
So I ensure that the project is built in accordance with the design, and we leave the city with a beautiful new viaduct when the project is complete.
Allen is program manager on what's become the largest bridge project in Los Angeles history.
What you can see going on behind me is that the contractor is building falsework, which is a temporary bridge over the viaduct structure. What they're spanning over the railroad tracks so that they can construct the actual concrete bridge on top of the temporary bridge.
Originally built in 1932, the 6th Street Viaduct connected the Arts District to Boyle Heights. But after decades of use, the viaduct started to crumble, and that prompted the city to demolish it in 2016 and begin construction on a more seismically sound structure.
But will the pump be able to reach all the way over to this knuckle?
It does, but since the $488 million replacement project started, Allen says the city has taken great strides to increase diversity on the design team.
When I started the project, I was the only woman on the team, and as we've been filling positions and I look for the best person to fill the position, it's been a woman in many cases, so a lot of our leadership roles on the project are filled by women.
Allen graduated from UCLA with a degree in civil engineering. After 27 years with the city, she now helps recruit and mentor other women.
She's a role model to me in a way because I see how she carries herself as a female engineer in a male-dominated industry, and I look up to her, and I learn a lot from her, just how she handles herself.
Julie has been a fantastic mentor, especially to me personally. I work very closely with her every single day, and just the wealth of knowledge that she has and the leadership that she brings to the project from all her past projects, it's really empowering.
The project has created hundreds of jobs, and once it's complete, there will be a park here and more green space for this community.
We're going to be installing 12 acres of new park space that spans all the way from what you see over here on the north side of the bridge all the way to the 101 freeway. This is a very park-poor community, and the viaduct structure itself was very, very beloved to the community before, and this new one is going to be an iconic structure not only for this neighborhood but for all of Los Angeles.
What an inspiration. The project is expected to be completed in 2022. Well, as you know, Hollyhock House in Hollywood is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That's like the Oscars for cultural and historic value. And people are visiting in droves. Anna Marcos took a tour and joined the curator in a game of I Spy.
First order of the day when you enter the Hollyhock House is put on your booties. And you can see why. There's actually lots of people in this house, sometimes as many as 40 visitors, and visitorship has actually doubled since it went on the UNESCO World Heritage List.
We know that we have history. We know we have great architecture. We know we have outstanding universal value. The world hasn't always thought so. And so now we don't have to justify it anymore. We've got it and we're recognized for it. And UNESCO's done it.
Hollyhock House, the crown jewel of Barnsdall Park, was built by famed architect Frank Lloyd Wright as a hilltop home for oil heiress Aline Barnsdall in 1921. It becomes the first LA landmark listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, joining an exclusive club that includes the Statue of Liberty and Yosemite National Park.
You had this iconic architect, Frank Lloyd Wright, move into collaboration with a single woman oil heiress who is also an artist and a political radical. And the two of them began a collaboration to, in a sense, create an oasis in the middle of Los Angeles.
We call it Hollyhock House because Hollyhock House was Aline Barnsdall's favorite flower, and she asked Frank Lloyd Wright if he couldn't possibly use it in the design.
And this is a hollyhock?
And this is Frank Lloyd Wright's abstract version of the hollyhock.
The stone architecture, it looks kind of like Mayan or Aztec. It's very cool.
Did you know that that's actually an abstract design of the hollyhock flower?
I did not know that. That's awesome.
The fun game is to how many hollyhocks can you find?
How many?
Well, a lot, but it's real easy to find the one in the carpet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they are everywhere you look.
You get to add to your list of I Spy hollyhocks.
Is this a hollyhock?
It's an abstract, yes. There are elements of the hollyhock design in these windows as
so
terms
you have
of architecture.
the real hollyhock
Yeah.
and the abstract hollyhock. Yep, the real flowers are planted everywhere, but in spite of the name, there's more to this house than just hollyhocks.
This is made of cast concrete blocks. It's a abstract design. Frank Lloyd Wright looked to nature for all his inspiration. You have water, you have fire, you have earth in the concrete, and you have light.
I really love architecture, so I wanted to kind of figure out like what was so special about it and like why there was like so much hype around it.
I'm a really big fan of Frank Lloyd Wright. I just really like his style because it's so simple and natural and really evokes the elements of the earth and nature.
I want you to take a look at the back of this chair.
It's a hollyhock.
It is.
And so, a Hollywood landmark has now been upgraded to one of the world's most important cultural and historic sites.
For more information and to schedule a tour, visit culturela.org and click on Hollyhock House UNESCO designation. Remember summer camp? Well, if so, you're lucky, as many families can't afford the luxury. Not so at Camp Wesson. As Gil Reyes reports, this summer camp welcomed all children, regardless of income level.
These kids, mostly from the inner city, are headed to a special type of summer camp. Everything's free at Camp Wesson. The t-shirts, the swim trunks, so is the respite for hardworking parents.
I'm going to sleep till at least 8 a.m. How about that?
So I'm actually in the middle of a move, and so it gives me a break to be able to move this stuff and not have to worry about him. And then he's out having fun.
Parents see the children off. About 120 kids, many of whom are headed to camp for the first time.
And we have arrived about 25 miles north to the Hanson Dam recreation area for 3 days and 2 nights of summer fun. Camp Wesson is organized by LA City Council President Herb Wesson.
Most of the kids come from economically challenged areas, and all we want to do is shine a little sunshine on them a little bit, let them have fun, sleep under the stars, eat all they can eat.
And for some of the kids, they've never been out of their neighborhood. So to get out of their neighborhood and come into a nature like this, it's a wonder for them.
Here's a look from high above. The sprawling campsite in Lakeview Terrace is home to the Hanson Dam Aquatic Center and one of the largest public pools in the country. Children take the plunge on 2 thrilling water slides.
My mom is sad though.
She's sad?
Yeah, because, well, this is actually my first 3 days without her.
Okay, but you're having fun though, right?
Yes.
I've been playing with my friends over there because I have made some new ones.
Every summer, the kids take part in rock wall climbing, archery, hiking, so many activities. Campers also get to ride horses.
It's kind of bumpy, but you'll get used to it after you've been here a couple times.
The nonprofit group Community Build helped select the kids. Community Build also pitched in to pay for much of the children's activities.
Anything and everything that we can do to help them is definitely worth it, and I'm excited to be at Camp Wesson for the 13th time.
Happy trails.
She's become a household name when it comes to animal protection and conservation. Dr. Jane Goodall has spent most of her life in the wild, studying chimpanzees to help us better understand the world around us. Her scientific discoveries and contributions were honored at LA City Hall in time for her 85th birthday.
Please help me welcome Dr. Jane Goodall to Los Angeles City Hall.
Let me greet you. Let me bring the voice of the chimpanzee into this space, I believe, for the very first time, and greet you. Me, Jane. Day after day, I climbed into the hills. This was where I was meant to be. I think I'd like to do a little demonstration of how a female chimpanzee greets a very high-ranking male. And I suspect the highest-ranking male is here on my left.
A little tidbit, way back in the day for 3 years, I volunteered at the Wildlife Way Station in Simi Valley. This baby chimpanzee came up to me, crawled up my legs, sat in my lap, put her arms around my neck, and kissed me on the lips. And I think, this is ironic, but not necessarily that ironic, but I always think of Jane Goodall every time I think of that baby chimp crawling up. It was one of the most special little moments I've ever had. And your legacy is that you have an army of millions carrying forward your work so that the world continues being a better place for animals.
She has an international education program called Roots and Shoots. It's been wildly successful. I believe it's in 50 countries around the world, but it started here. So she has a soft spot in her heart for LA.
As we protect the environment, the homes of the animals, we're protecting the future for our own children. And if we destroy the environment, we have stolen the future of our own children.
For more info on Jane Goodall's work or to get involved, visit janegoodall.org. If you love LA history, you'll love this. Rows upon rows of LA City archives, some dating back to the 1800s, available to sample up close. Gil Reyes has more.
Here at the LA City Clerk's office in downtown is a treasure trove of historical documents and other archives that you won't find anywhere else, including the oldest known document in the city's history. Let's go inside.
Where we are is the City Record Center. It's the largest repository of city records. It's 45,000 square feet, and we have capacity of approximately 200,000 boxes, representing 34 of the 36 city departments.
LA City archivist Michael Holland says records of unsolved murders are stored here too.
LAPD can come in here and look up something that they haven't looked at maybe in 30, 40, 50 years.
Well, actually, the cold case unit of Robbery Homicide Division, they come in semi-regularly to pull old file cases. And occasionally, they actually manage to close it, which is a lot of fun when they do that.
Also here, personnel records of every LA City employee since 1939.
Employee records are kept for a certain number of years after their termination or their retirement. And in the case of the city of Los Angeles, that is 80 years.
Really?
So in other words, your records and my records and the cameraman's records will be in presumably this facility in some form or another for 80 years after, after we're gone.
Now, personnel records are off limits to the public, but so much more, like photographs and other media, are accessible.
We have things such as film. This is a 16mm training film from LAPD. They have made their own training films since the 1940s.
Efficient regulation of traffic demands that a proper system of manual signals be employed.
Archive films and recordings from LAPD, the mayor's office, and city council are available too. Now let's go way back.
What we have here is the oldest known document in City of LA history.
That is correct.
How old is this document?
This is a letter from 1827, when all of this area belonged to Mexico and everything was conducted in Spanish. This was a letter that a retired corporal from the Port of San Diego brought this letter up with him to the city of Los Angeles to present himself to the Common Council to request his pension. San Diego was the military post, but the seat of power was here in LA.
There are millions of original documents and media to explore.
That 99% of the material in our records vault, it's not digital. You can't Google and find most of that material. But that material will give anybody an edge if they want to make a killer term paper or a PowerPoint or whatever sorts of presentations are allowed in colleges these days.
Or a film or a book.
Or a film or a book, absolutely.
See what's archived at the LA City Clerk's office at 555 Ramirez Street on the 3rd floor of Piper Technical Center in downtown. Admission is free.
So cool, you have to see this up close. The city clerk's office is open Monday through Thursday and on alternate Fridays. When it comes to Hollywood award shows, the Screen Actors Guild statue is one of the most coveted, just behind Oscar. But making it is an art form in itself, one that's been around for centuries. Rasha Goel has more on a traditional art form that's helping mold a lasting impression.
From the looks of it, you might think you're watching something out of a sci-fi film. But don't be fooled, this is the real deal. These guys in metallic silver fireproof suits are preparing a vat of molten bronze that will become the statuettes for this year's 25th SAG Awards.
It's as ancient an art as acting is, and it really is a piece of art. It's not just a trophy, and I think people really have responded to that over the years.
The bronze actor statuette is created by the American Fine Arts Foundry that has worked with the Screen Actors Guild every year for the last 25 years to make these pieces. The statue is made through what's called the lost wax casting process.
It's actually about 10 steps beginning to end, but essentially we start with a master mold. We make a wax positive out of that mold. We then take that wax and make a temporary mold over it. We then empty the wax out of the mold, pour bronze in, and then we do all the work to weld it back together, make all the seam lines go away, make it look beautiful, and then put a patina on it and mount it.
As you can see, the work definitely takes a lot of skill and precision. It's craftsmanship and skilled artwork at its finest. A team of 10 craftsmen work together to create this masterpiece. These statuettes weigh about 12 pounds, so they're not as light as they look. It takes about 8 to 12 weeks to make them, and this year they've made 40 statuettes for the SAG Awards show. They actually make more statuettes as there is no way to predict how many winners there will be in the different categories. Crazy Rich Asians nominee Harry Shum Jr. also had a chance to put his artistic skills to the test.
No, if you need to hire anyone else to do this, I'm here.
Well, I guess in this case, it took a little muscle work.
Being there and feeling the temperature, feeling the heat, feeling the energy from everyone watching, and then creating something like this is just like, you only see the ending product, so to always see anything being created is really special.
The statuette is holding the masks of comedy and tragedy and is intentionally sculpted for the SAG Awards to represent the artistry of the industry. And if you happen to win one, here's a valuable piece of advice.
Don't drop it on your foot.
You can see the statuette in its final form at the SAG Awards on January 27th.
To date, over 1,000 statuettes, each nearly identical yet individually crafted, have been produced. If you've never heard of a sneakerhead, well, you're about to find out. Sneakertopia, a one-of-a-kind pop-up museum, mixes celebrity, sneaker fashions, and just a whole lot of fun. Anna Marcos took a stroll through the exhibit.
You are looking at a Michael Jordan sneaker until it's not. Because from a different angle, this sculpture called Air turns into the Air Jordan Jumpman logo. It's become a viral sensation for Sneakertopia, a new pop-up interactive art gallery, museum, and sneaker closet that just opened in West LA's Howard Hughes Center.
Sneakertopia is a celebration of sneaker culture.
I'm wearing the Jordan 1 Yellow Toes. I just think they're a really cool way to express yourself. Instead of expressing yourself with art or something like that, you can express yourself with your style of sneaker.
You will interact with other sneakerheads.
Sneakerheads? Yep, that's what you call those into sneaker fashions, sneaker styles, and the celebrities and sports stars that make them famous. Sneakertopia is a sneakerhead's paradise. Skateboard, tennis, basketball, and music legends, all those with sneaker brand deals, you will find here.
It looks really fun, and we're friends, and we're doing it together. And it's also really just amazing and incredible, and I've had a really good experience. Yes.
Do you guys skateboard?
Yes. No.
These three from Kanye when he was formerly with Nike before going to Adidas, and these being the Red Octobers are very highly coveted. These are probably in the $6,000 range.
And if you think that's expensive, just wait.
These are Travis Scott's, and these M&Ms are in the $25,000+ range.
Don't worry though, some of the shoes they wear are within your price range. And a lot of these exhibits by various artists and muralists are interactive.
He painted a mural where guests can actually sit down next to some of these major athletes in sneaker culture and be part of the scene. So now they're interacting courtside with the players.
Look at this exhibit. I'm getting posterized by Michael Jordan. He's dunking on me.
By the way, don't be a fashion dud like me who forgot her sneakers. Bring your favorite Air Jordans or whatever you wear and click away, because there will be plenty of Instagrammable moments.
That certainly is a fashion statement. We look forward to covering even more great exhibits and stories in the new year. That's it for this edition. I'm Yannick Hay. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more of LA This Week.